Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a system for mastering pretty much any skill you want just by learning how to learn more effectively. Ready? Let's get into it.
Does this feel familiar? You know, you're putting in the hours, you're studying, trying to pick up new skills for your job, but it just feels like you're treading water. It's like no matter how much time you throw at it, you're always just trying to keep your head above water, never really getting ahead.
And this quote from learning coach Justin Sung just hits the nail on the head. The issue is not a lack of time, the issue is a waste of time. That really gets to the core of it, doesn't it? The problem isn't about finding more hours in the day, it's about how we're using the hours we already have.
So here's the most important takeaway right up front. Struggling to learn isn't some kind of personal failure. It's not about your IQ, it's not about having a bad memory. It's almost always about using an inefficient system. A system that, let's be honest, most of us were never actually taught how to improve.
And get this, the source material we're looking at argues that just by building a better learning process, you could be 20 to 30% more effective. I mean, think about that for a second. That's like getting a whole evening back every single week, or totally reclaiming your weekend. So what's holding us back? Well, it turns out there are a few really persistent myths about learning that are keeping us stuck on that hamster wheel.
Okay, first up is the whole idea of fixed learning styles. You've heard it, right? I'm a visual learner, or I'm an auditory learner. Well, decades of research show this just isn't really a thing. The reality is, while we might have preferences for how we like to get information, our brains are built to learn in all sorts of ways. And actually, mixing it up, combining different ways of learning, is way more effective for everyone.
The next big one is this belief that learning should feel easy. You know, we think that feeling of confusion or difficulty means we're doing something wrong. But the research on top performers, it shows the exact opposite. That feeling of effort, that struggle, that's actually a sign your brain is deeply engaged. It's forming stronger, much more durable connections. All right, so with those myths busted, we can start to build a better system. And it all boils down to two key concepts, encoding and retrieval.
So first up is encoding. The best way to think about this is like you're building a massive interconnected web of knowledge in your mind. You're not just storing a new piece of information by itself, you're actively connecting it to stuff you already know. You're creating mental models that give it context and meaning. And the second part of this is retrieval. This is simply the act of pulling that information back out when you actually need it, to solve a problem, to answer a question, or explain an idea to someone. And this isn't just about testing your memory. It's a critical part of the learning process itself. And you can see how they work together, right? It's a cycle. Let's say you're learning to code. Encoding is when you read about a for loop and connect it to an idea you already have, like repeating a task. Retrieval is when you have to actually write a for loop from a blank screen to solve a brand new problem. And here's the magic. Every single time you successfully retrieve that information, you make the original encoding even stronger. Okay, so what happens if you don't practice retrieving what you've learned? Well, your brain does something very, very predictable. It starts to forget. Have you ever heard of the Ebbinghaus forgetting curve? It's a famous model in psychology that shows just how fast we forget new stuff if we don't try to hang on to it. And according to the curve, without any kind of practice or reinforcement, you can forget as much as half, 50% of what you just learned in a single day. And it gets worse. After just 1 week, that number can jump all the way up to 80%. All that hard work you put in, just fading away because the knowledge was never actually put to use. And after a month, it's almost all gone. 95%. Poof. Now, this isn't a defect, it's a feature. Our brains are designed to clear out information that doesn't seem important or useful to make room for what does. So, how do we fight this forgetting curve? We use a powerful technique called spaced retrieval. It's pretty simple. It just means actively recalling information at longer and longer intervals. So you might practice after 1 day, then maybe 3 days, then a week. Each time you do that, you hit the brakes on the forgetting process, and you send a huge signal to your brain that says, hey, this stuff is important, keep it. Now, here's the part that's a little counterintuitive. Even though high-quality encoding is the ultimate goal for mastery, the system argues that you should focus on your retrieval skills first. Why? Well, because practicing retrieval gives you immediate benefits. It stops you from forgetting everything right away, and it builds a solid foundation while you slowly get better at the deeper, more complex skill of encoding. And this brings us to the end game, the ultimate goal, achieving superior encoding.
This is really what separates just having surface-level knowledge from true mastery.
The difference really comes down to what we call lower order versus higher order thinking. Lower order thinking is just about memorizing isolated facts and definitions. Higher order thinking, on the other hand, is all about integrating ideas. It's about seeing patterns, understanding relationships, and building that connected network of knowledge we talked about.
So when you force yourself to think at that higher level, to ask questions like, how does this connect to what I already know? Or why does this actually matter? You are performing high-quality encoding. A great way to practice this is with the Feynman technique. Just try to explain a concept in really simple terms, like you're talking to a kid. The second you get stuck, you found the exact gaps in your own understanding. But let's be real, this isn't easy. Most of us have spent our entire lives building up habits around lower order thinking. So the biggest challenge is just being okay with that initial feeling of confusion as you try to connect ideas, instead of just running back to the comfort of memorizing a list of facts.
So the big takeaway here is to shift your focus. Stop just collecting facts and start building a system for understanding. It begins with practicing retrieval to make things stick, and it pushes you toward higher order thinking for deep, lasting encoding. And that brings us right back to that first question. If you could be 20 to 30% more effective, what would you do with all that time you get back?